In our series Traces of the Past, our reporters travel the globe searching for the legacy left to different countries by German Jews. Today, we visit the United States.
Bozeman, Montana is home to a population of 37,000. This is where Donna and Brian Swarthout live, with their children Avery, Livy, and Sam. They recently returned home after 2 years in Berlin. Although the Swarthout family's forefathers were German Jews, to the kids, Germany was a completely foreign country, where there was lots to explore.
It was nice coming to Germany because I got to be in a new place that I haven't been before. And I discovered there was the U-Bahns and the S-Bahns and the ice trains and the big stations.
For me, it was just more of like an adventure, moving to a different country, learning a new language, and, I didn't really feel the connection that my parents felt, I'd say.
It was a new experience. I never knew a whole bunch about the Holocaust, but I knew enough to know what it was about and what happened. So I was interested and even a bit wary of what it would be like. But when I got there, I realized it's still a big open wound, and it's not like that at all. German people are trying to forget it.
Now they're back in Montana, 8,000 kilometers from the German capital. So they won't forget everything they've learned. The family has decided that on Sundays, they'll only speak German. Brian's grandparents fled the Nazis, and so did Donna's parents and their families.
I had a very strong sense about this as a young child because I was born in New Jersey and my extended family lived in the New York area, and we came together for holidays, and I heard a lot of German spoken and ate a lot of German Jewish food, and so that was a very special time in my life that I always held close in my heart, that I've carried with me for my whole life.
These photos show Donna's grandparents and her mother as an infant. Although they were both children of refugees, Donna's parents saw themselves as Americans. Germany seemed very distant. But when Donna met Brian, she began thinking about her grandparents and about their language and culture. Brian's grandparents had fled Breslau, now Wrocław in Poland, to China and on to the U.S.
Well, it's something I think I always knew about because I knew I was always German and Jewish, and it was something that was always kind of in the background, but it wasn't something that we spent a lot of time talking about, or that my grandfather or my mother spent a lot of time explaining to us their experiences. But it was something, because it was kind of a unique situation, it was interesting.
Montana is cowboy country, a state as big as Germany, but with a population of just 1 million. This is where Donna and Brian chose to live, and loved it so much that Donna's parents moved here too. Her father's grave is here in Bozeman. But after 15 years in Montana, Donna and Brian began thinking about spending some time in Germany, the country where they both had roots, much to the horror of their families. Donna's mother, Raina, was 5 years old when she and her parents left Hamburg.
I found, and I still have that feeling many times, we were thrown out of that country. And why should I go and support a country where I was not wanted? My parents didn't feel that way, but they were older. They were married and they had a family. They both had their families living over there. I didn't have anybody over there.
The couple belonged to the local Beth Shalom Jewish community, along with 110 other families from Bozeman. To begin with, few could understand their decision to go to Germany, of all places. but others thought it was brave of them.
There was a time when I used to say I would never go to Germany because Germany was where the Holocaust occurred, and in honouring the memory, I would not set foot in Germany. But actually, that ignores years of Jewish development within Germany and a revival within Germany. So yes, I understand where they came from, but it took me some years to get to that point of being ready to understand it.
I know it was it's been an internal struggle. On the one hand, they have a life here, and on the other hand, they have roots back in Germany. Of course, they also have a different kind of roots here. And so, naturally, there's conflict that they'll ultimately have to resolve. And I will, of course, support them in whichever way they go, even if I'd like to see them here, obviously.
We always said the same thing. We are German in addition to being Jewish, and we want to go and have the experience, and we're just going with an open mind and see what it's like.
In July 2010, they left the States and moved to Berlin. Brian got a job teaching at the same American school the kids attended. The Swarthouts set about exploring Jewish life in the German capital and unearthed a terrible family secret.
Every family writes their own story, their own narrative. And I think they wrote a story of escape and they wrote a story of survival. And so they focused on all of the positive things, and they want to pass that down to the children and the grandchildren. So I do think it was a broader silence that my parents must have seen the pain that their parents were going through, but they never spoke about that. So I do think it's a deeper silence than just about Meta.
Meta Adler was Donna's great aunt. She was the only member of the family who wasn't granted immigration papers. She stayed behind in Germany and was murdered by the Nazis. The family had never talked about Meta, but today, thanks to Donna, a stumbling block memorial stone keeps her memory alive. When the family held Avery's bar mitzvah in Berlin, it was a bittersweet celebration.
It was hugely symbolic. It was a huge symbol of me bringing tradition back into Germany and me starting up my family and remembering and healing what my family had gone through. So it was a huge symbol that after everybody either escaped or was deported, I'm coming back and kind of finishing and also starting a new generation.
Donna kept a blog describing the family's experiences in Berlin and documenting their bid to secure German nationality. The more she wrote, the more response she got from readers with similar backgrounds.
Some were people who were trying to get their German citizenship restored, as our family did, and others, people who were wanting to know what it was like to be Jewish in Germany. And so I began this dialogue with people in Israel and Europe and the United States, and many of those people I've stayed in touch with for quite a while now.
The family is still getting used to being back in the U.S. They're catching up with old friends and enjoying the mountains of Montana. With its vast expanses of empty land, it's a far cry from the hustle and bustle of Berlin. This ranch belongs to Kent Newton and her husband. The couple are also Jewish and close friends of Donna and Brian. The Newtons and the Swarthouts have known one another for years. The kids love the visits out here in the plains of the Wild West.
It's nice. I like being back in Montana.
Kent kept in touch with Donna while she was away and followed her blog. It took her a while to understand why Donna needed to spend time in the country of her forefathers.
It was more than that. It was this thing she writes about connecting with her past and finding her roots and talking about her grandparents, and, you know, the German culture that she had grown up knowing through them when they lived in New Jersey, I think it was. And, you know, that brought me along.
For now, the Swarthouts don't know when or if they'll ever return to Germany.
It's definitely not the end, but it's the end of a chapter. So, yeah, now a new chapter is beginning.
The journey that Donna and her family undertook to retrace their roots was a great learning experience. And perhaps not just for them, but for others too.
Next week, we travel to Portugal to look for traces of the past in Lisbon.